Hi, my name's Kane Ramsey. Thank you very much for choosing to join me in what I hope is going to be an online training program that really serves you on your journey of personal growth and towards mental wellness, because this is a journey that essentially we're all on. Some people hit a few challenges and hurdles and obstacles along the way. Some people get stuck and blocked for a few seasons. And it's only when we invest into ourselves through taking training courses like this that we can just begin to better appreciate the extent of the options that we actually have to drive our own lives forward, which is kind of what life is all about. So I figured as we're right in lecture one, and we just take a few moments here just to get singing off the same song sheet, as it were, because there are obviously a multitude of different ways that we can define mental wellness. Some people have a certain interpretation as to what mental health means. Mental wellness, is there a difference? If so, what? So here we're not here today to speak into mental health conditions or illnesses, all right? These are the problems that people have in their life, and this really isn't what Neuro-Linguistic Programming as a body of ideas was set up to do. Not focus on problems, but instead identify solutions so that we can transfix our focus towards the positive instead of the negative, which is a bit of a countercultural way of looking at life. So I really want to serve you through this training program and helping you to do this. So what I've done, I've actually gone online, I've done a little bit of research on Google, and I've extracted a quote taken from the World Health Organization. And I reckon this gives us a pretty good starting point that we can build and base the rest of the training program upon. Mental wellness is defined as a state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution back into his or her community in some way. Does that sound like the life that you're already living? Does that sound like a life that you may aspire to at some point in the future? Fantastic. I hope this has given you more than enough reason to continue on with me throughout the rest of the training program, because we're all in this constant state of evolution, personal change, and flux. We only really experience problems when we either don't or aren't able to identify opportunity for growth, or we get stuck without a strategy that we need in order to advance or grow. So it's important to just help you manage your expectations again by stating here that there's no quick fix techniques, because NLP within itself isn't a tangible thing that we can hold. It's not a magic wand. It's just simply a body of ideas that provides a philosophy and a wise methodology for enabling people to grow in maturity, decisiveness, consistency, and in substance. Now, if I was to ask you, just right now, just before we kind of get into the main teachings, the kind of people that you would love to have more of in your life, right? How would you define these people? Would you like to surround yourself with some really highly strung people, perhaps some really stressed out people? How about some really scared people, or some really angry people? Or how about some really self-centered and selfish people? Are those the kind of people that you want to spend the rest of your life with? Or would you rather continue on and spend the rest of your days with those people who are on the road towards growing in maturity, responsibility, consistency, decisiveness, strong people who you can essentially count on to offer you positive, helpful feedback and input along the way? I reckon I don't need to wait for a response. I reckon we all know what the answer is. So I guess this training course actually provides us all with an opportunity to become the kind of person that we actually want more of in our life. All right, there's a little bit of food for thought just before we continue. So let us just take a few minutes now. I want to share with you the main ideas that I'm building this training course around, so you know what it is that you can look forward to over the next 10 to 12 hours. So first things first, we're going to look at the purpose of Neuro-Linguistic Programming to help you understand what to expect from this philosophy of life. I then want to present you with the basic NLP communications model. Now, some people think about communications as us talking or us engaging in conversation with other people. But I just want to propose here that not all communication is vocal. there's a pretty good chance you might be able to identify the inner dialogue that goes on inside of your mind pretty much all of the time. All right? If you're not aware of this, you most certainly will be by the end of this training course. Because the way in which we interact and relate to ourselves essentially determines how it is that we interact with and respond to those other people in our lives. And if we don't do that so well, or we haven't yet mastered a really grounded and effective strategy for interacting with other people, then this can end up really compromising our goals, our objectives, our life vision, our hopes, dreams, aspirations, and all of those things that we really want more of in our lives. So what we want to get clear on is how to better communicate and interact with ourselves. Because whilst we have no control over what anyone else does or says to us, we don't have any control over all the things that are happening out there in the big bad world, we do have complete control over how it is that we choose to respond. And this within itself is some really good news that I want to help you to fully understand. So we're then going to look at the foundational assumptions of NLP, because the foundations that we go through life with, some people would determine the assumptions that they've made as being beliefs or worldviews or perspectives or attitudes. And yes, there are distinctions between all these things, but they essentially all give us the basis through which we essentially make decisions in life. It's the reasons why we say and do the things that we do. It's the reasons why we sometimes react to some people in a certain way and then respond to other people in another certain way. So when we become a little bit clearer on not just the assumptions that we are naturally operating out of, which essentially could have been constructed over the entirety of our lifetime to date, NLP provides us with an alternative set of worldviews that we can kind of hold up as a mirror in front of us if we like to just to compare whether or not our essential assumptions and attitudes are actually serving us or not. So what I'm saying is, I'm presenting you here with an ample opportunity to do a bit of a check-up from the neck up. So you can check yourself before you potentially wreck yourself at some point in the future. Who knows, you might learn how to win friends and influence people positively along the way, which I'm kind of hoping that you do. So this set of foundations is what essentially gives us a basis for all personal accomplishment and personal achievement in life. Because if we're not working towards something, then we stand at risk of getting stuck in a rut, going round and round in circles for anything up to a lifetime. And that most certainly is not a fulfilling or a rewarding way to live life. So it's good to have goals. What I want to share with you, very, very basic goal setting framework to help you get crystal clear on what it is that you want more of in your life, so you can then make a decision as to how it is that you intend to go about getting and acquiring these things. So we want to look at a few foundational principles for personal progress. Because, as I've mentioned, life is about confronting challenge. It is about overcoming hurdles and obstacles. When we don't have a set of essential principles in our life that we're operating out of, then we might not necessarily be aware on how best to approach and tackle hurdles, obstacles, challenges, as and when they will inevitably arise. All right? And incidentally, it's challenges and hurdles and obstacles that don't come into our lives to tear us down and undermine us, right? They actually present us with opportunity to grow and become more, which is just a worldview, one of the key worldviews that Neuro-Linguistic Programming as a body of ideas has been based upon. So all of this is about you better understanding you. Towards the end of the course in the final section, I want to share with you a few key communication skills and attitudes that we can take when interacting with other people, so we don't end up undermining the relationships that we essentially cherish the most, which many people go on to do. Last but not least, I want to present you with a basis for personal mastery. Now again, this is one of these terms that can be thrown around very, very loosely in some personal development circles. And I guess what we actually need in life is a really substantial and solid basis for making decisions upon. If we don't understand how it is to best learn or resolve problems, then we might struggle to become expert in any area of our life. What I want to propose towards the end of this section is that as we grow in self-awareness, we naturally become more aware of the parts of ourselves that we need to improve in, which is the basis for our personal growth and mental wellness. Once we are relating with ourselves more effectively, we naturally start relating to other people more effectively. And this is essentially what allows us to become more influential in whatever role or capacity we find ourselves in life. Whether we are part of a team, whether we are leading a team, whether we are pioneering and leading an organisation or a world movement, or whether we're a mum or a dad, or whether we're looking to enter into employment for the first time, or whether we're looking at how we can just be a better friend for those people that we care about most in life. This gives us all a basis for personal mastery, and this is what I really want to impress upon you before we bring the course to a close. So that's it, all right? I'm not going to give away too much at this point, all right? If you choose to remain with me throughout this journey, I guarantee you that upon completion, you're going to have a strong set of foundations that you can really go forth and build a solid and a stable and a consistent future life upon.